Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I want to talk about the final season here because we actually have a first look at the final season. Well, sort of anyways. And yeah, I want to break this down and actually talk about what we're seeing here. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Also, if you notice that my voice is a little bit off, it's because I'm getting used to recording again. So I noticed that this morning, actually, I was like, whoa, my voice is very, very raspy right now. So yeah, the live stream yesterday and all the recording over the last couple of days did that for sure. I didn't record for like 2 weeks and all that. And I didn't really talk too much. So yeah, but let's get into what I wanted to talk about here. So this photo here was posted actually by Norman Reedus on Instagram, and I found it really interesting. Again, it's not necessarily an official first look, but it's kind of a new look at the season. And they're not really promoting the season quite a bit. And obviously, if there's photos, just like, random set photos and all that, I'm not going to really talk about that. But in this case here, Norman Reedus actually posted this on Instagram. And so obviously, there's nothing crazy spoilery here. I don't know if the woman on the right is an actual character in the show. So I don't really know what's going on there. So if you guys know, definitely let me know. But, in terms of Norman Reedus and I guess the actor who plays Codron, like, I will say it's a really interesting, set photo if this was taken recently. Like, I'm assuming that this was for like recent filming or something, right? So for Daryl, there's nothing really that different here. For Codron, like Codron's with Daryl, so there's that. Codron's like in the back there. So I'm wondering if he's like held captive, though that doesn't really make too much sense because whatever that is there isn't going to be anything that's going to like, keep him there. So I'm wondering if it's just because there was 2 seats only, so Daryl's sitting there and Codron's going to sit in the back. I really do wonder what his role is going to be this season because, like, he's not going to be the villain, obviously. He will be on Daryl's side of the whole thing here. And where is he going now? Like, I'm trying to picture how things will end for him based off of his reintroduction to the show. Like, does he just go back to France or something like that? Or will the character die? Because I feel like having the character just on the show now and going back with him to America almost makes a lot of sense because he was gone for so long. And so, like, what is he just gonna go missing again, or just like go back to France, or is he just gonna travel around the world, or will the character just die in the season? I don't know if the character is going to die because I feel like that's just a bit too much for reintroducing the character, right? Like, I think the character has to survive the season now. It's just whether or not he's going to go to America or, so I am interested in how they're going to handle a lot of this here and like what this means for Daryl and Carol going back to America, if it's just going to be them two. I think it would be really cool if Codron actually went back to America because there's going to be some other actors that will be there, right? Like there's Laurent and Ash as well. So for Codron to go to America and actually be a part of the next story or however they're going to do it, this new look here at the season's really cool. And remember, they're like really close to being done the very like last episode of the season, right? So looking at this here, I wonder what this means for the story. Again, it's kind of hard to know just based off of this because it's kind of generic, right? Like Daryl has the same outfit on basically as he did in season 3. Codron looks the same as he did in season 3 as well. Obviously they're in a vehicle now, so that's going to change at some point here, but I assume that this is likely episode 6 or 7, right? So, yeah, they're almost by episode 8, the finale. I'm excited to see what this is going to be. Like, I'm excited to see what they're going to do here to celebrate the ending of filming this entire series, because that's happening in 2 weeks from now or something, right? So I actually do wonder, and I do want to talk about this here a little bit. Like, are they going to bother to explain what happened to Codron? Because I feel like, they might not even care to do it. Like, what if they're just like, we're just gonna kind of say that he was just doing this and that. And then, even like Codron coming across that statue with, the Rubik's Cube and stuff right after Daryl was there. Like, there's so much about it that just doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that's why Codron shouldn't have ran away. Like, I'm so confused when it comes to the writing of all of that as to why they had Codron leave. Like, was it a budget issue? Was it because the actor was busy doing other things? I just don't get the reason there because it makes a lot of sense to just have Codron with Daryl and Carol. Was it because they wrote the story for season 3 without Codron? Because if that is actually what happened, that's definitely what? Why would you do that? Like, I think that's kind of my issue right now with a lot of the spinoffs is that it doesn't feel like everything is so connected and like they're really committed to a lot of things, right? So I just hope the story is definitely better in season 4, at least in terms of explaining a lot of stuff like this. I'm not a fan of how David Zabel has told these stories so far. I think that, 3 seasons in, season 3 definitely was really good, and I liked season 1, but there's a lot of conveniences that happen, and it is just kind of frustrating, and it doesn't work for The Walking Dead because people really care about these characters and like the world and like the survival aspect to it, and like how does this character get from here to here, and you know what I mean? Like people do care about all of that, and I know I've seen some people arguing about, Morgan, because Morgan in season 4 saw some stuff there and it didn't really make too much sense. To me, though, it just makes sense when you're looking at the episode Clear and like when Morgan showed up later on, like he was sort of following their tracks overall, right? And I just think that they put stuff there where like it made sense. And I think to have him go to Alexandria, there's definitely could have been issues there for sure, but it still made a lot more sense than this does, where Codron was in France and all he knew was that they were going to be in London. And so he goes to Spain and then just like runs into them, So honestly, I feel like they're not going to explain it. Well, they will explain it, but it's not going to make any sense. Like, I think Codron is literally going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to leave. I'm going to go to Spain. And even though there's a lot of places that you can go in Spain, just somehow he happened to be like walking down a path that Daryl and Carol are also very close to, right? And he could see the boat and everything on fire. So I think that there's probably not going to be a lot of explanation here, but the final season is about to be done filming, and so that's going to be really interesting to see just how they celebrate all of that here. Like, they're likely on that last episode. Like, they are going to be on that last episode, and I think the interesting thing about that is there's going to be a lot of set photos that are out there, and I hope that they're able to somehow keep spoilers away. Like, I don't know how they're going to be able to do that, but if there's a way to keep spoilers away, like, obviously I won't do videos on it, but I think it would be incredible. Unless they like confirm like, oh, Laurent's going to be here in the final season or like other characters, then I'll do a video on it. But if there's no confirmation or anything like that, then it's like, there's not really a point. If Norman Reedus posts about it, I might do a video on it, obviously, because he's kind of confirming it. But if it's just randomly out there, I won't. I also really wonder how they're going to get back home because, like, I don't think the boat thing is going to be a thing in season 4. I think to build another boat is just a little bit too much. Like, they went through a lot of the budget there in season 3 to do all of that because that boat was really expensive. And so I think for the final season, like, obviously having a plane or something is a lot more as well. So, like, it just depends on how they're going to do a lot of that. Is it going to be a helicopter? Will the CRM save Daryl and Carol? Like, it just depends on a lot of things. I do think that for this series, we are going to see Laurent again because it just makes sense for this series. He was a character that was introduced in this series. I think he might be the character that saves Daryl and Carol. You just have to explain how he knows that they're in Spain. But that's the thing with David Zabel and this show so far. I mean, conveniences just happen. So, like, maybe Laurent is just there, and then I'm going to laugh and be like, wait, how does Laurent know that Daryl's there? Like, all Laurent knew was that they were in France, right? And maybe going to London. So for, like, Codron to find them in Spain, and then, you know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense at all. So unless there's some kind of communication with, like, a radio or something like that, and, like, Daryl hears the CRM or something, and then, Laurent is there, though, I think that would make some sense, and that could be a really exciting and really interesting plot point for the final season. But that's kind of my prediction, is that that's kind of how it's going to go, is just the CRM save Daryl and Carol, and I think it will be pretty much that simple, unless it's just they find a boat again and then go back home. But I don't think it's going to be that simple. I really think there's going to be some stuff going on with Fede. I think they're going to be trying to find a way to get home. Maybe it happens very early on in the season and they're trying to get back there to save them and there's all this stuff happening, but maybe it's a radio call or something that they hear and all of a sudden it's Laurent and Daryl's like, wait, what? Did something happen to Laurent? Like maybe he never made it back or whatever. And so there's some kind of, mission that takes Daryl and Carol to find Laurent at a certain location or whatever. And then all of a sudden he's there, but the CRM are there as well. And so that's a way to get back home to America, right? Like I could see it playing out a lot like that instead of it just being they find another plane, they find another boat, because they've done that for like the last couple of seasons here, right? Like the first season was a boat, second season was a plane, third season was a boat. So what, the final season is going to be a plane again? Like I just think that it's probably going to be something like the CRM and the helicopter thing because it just makes a lot of sense. So anyways, I'm going to leave it here though, so definitely post all your thoughts down below. I think I might actually do a video on that a little bit more in depth and talk about how they could make it back home and really go in depth on that, because that's honestly kind of an exciting idea. Like what if, Laurent wouldn't have to be a big part of the story, but what if Laurent was actually trying to get in contact with Daryl or something. And because obviously if they went to France and he wasn't there, then they're like, well, they have to be here somewhere. So maybe there's some kind of, radio transmission or something that comes through at some point. And then Daryl hears that, and then it's Laurent, and then he's trying to get to where Laurent is. Maybe he doesn't know that, the CRM are there, but maybe he thinks that Laurent never made it back and something went wrong, right? And so he tries to find his way back there. And then, maybe they meet somewhere else. Maybe it is just in Spain or something like that. Like maybe what happens is that they find out that the radio call is coming from Spain or something, right? Like maybe the CRM have the technology to find out all of that. Like I could see that. But anyways, I would like to go in depth way more on that. And so I'll probably do another video on that. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. And I'll see you in the next one.